What happens when a hero's sacrifice is met with scorn instead of gratitude? In the chaotic hum of St. Mary's Hospital emergency room, where the air was thick with tension and the sharp scent of antiseptic, a single moment would spark a reckoning no one saw coming. Sergeant James Carter, a 38-year-old veteran, limped into the ER on a rainy Tuesday night. His prosthetic leg clicked faintly against the tiled floor, a reminder of the IED that had claimed his limb and nearly his life in Afghanistan. Elderly couple sat silently westgear, glanced over at the bustling waiting room, their faces a mix of weariness and resolve. James, broad-shouldered with a square jaw, carried himself with the quiet dignity of someone who'd seen too much. His dark eyes held stories he rarely shared, stories of sand and blood and brotherhood. He'd come here, seeking relief from the phantom pain that haunted him, a lingering echo of his service. The waiting room was crowded, the usual mix of worried families, impatient locals, and overworked staff. James sat alone, his military jacket folded neatly on his lap, waiting for his turn. Dr. Richard Hale, the attending physician, was known for his sharp tongue and sharper ego. Young, polished, and ambitious, he thrived on the ER's high-stakes energy, but his bedside manner was colder than the steel tables. When James approached the desk, clutching his side and wincing, Dr. Hale barely looked up. "Another vet looking for a handout?" he muttered, loud enough for James and nearby patients to hear. The words cut deeper than any shrapnel. James froze, his jaw tightening, but he said nothing. He'd heard worse. Still, the sting of dismissal from a man who'd never known war burned. A nurse nearby flinched, her eyes darting to James with quiet apology. The waiting room stirred. A young mother holding her feverish child glared at Hale. An elderly man with a cane gripped it tighter, his knuckles whitening. They'd heard the stories of men like James, men who'd given pieces of themselves for others' freedom. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. James took his seat again, staring at the floor, his silence louder than any protest. Dr. Hale moved on, barking orders to a nurse, but the damage was done. Whispers rippled through the waiting room. "Did he really say that?" a teenage girl asked her father, who nodded grimly. James didn't react, but his hands clenched the jacket tighter. He was here for help, not pity, and certainly not scorn. The pain in his leg flared, but it was the doctor's words that echoed, reopening wounds time hadn't healed. The ER was a pressure cooker, patients groaning, monitors beeping, staff rushing. James waited patiently, his posture rigid, disciplined. When his name was called, he stood, his limp pronounced but proud. In the exam room, Dr. Hale's cursory glance dismissed him again. "Probably just seeking pain meds," he said to a resident, not bothering to lower his voice. James' eyes narrowed, but he held his tongue. He'd learned long ago that words couldn't undo what he'd endured. The examination was perfunctory. Hale prescribed a low-dose painkiller, his tone clipped, assuming addiction before injury. James took the script, his face unreadable, and left the room. But the waiting room hadn't forgotten. The young mother, Maria, approached him as he headed for the exit. "My brother served," she said softly. "Thank you." Her words were a balm, simple but heavy with meaning. James nodded, his throat tight, and stepped into the rain. Word spread faster than the storm outside. By the next day, patients and staff were buzzing. Maria had told her husband, who told his coworkers. The elderly man with the cane posted on social media, his shaky hands typing out Hale's words verbatim. The post gained traction, retweets, shares, outrage. Veterans groups caught wind, and by evening, the hospital's switchboard was flooded with calls. "Is this how you treat heroes?" one caller demanded. The local news picked it up, and soon, Dr. Hale's name was trending for all the wrong reasons. The hospital administration, desperate to quell the storm, issued a statement. "We are investigating the incident and take such matters seriously." It was boilerplate, but the pressure didn't relent. A veterans advocacy group organized a protest outside St. Mary's, signs reading "Honor Our Heroes" and "No Veteran Left Behind." Patients refused to book with Hale, requesting other doctors instead. The waiting room, once a place of his indifference, became a battleground of accountability. James didn't seek the spotlight. He'd never wanted it. But when a reporter caught him outside his apartment, he spoke plainly. "I just wanted help, not a fight," he said. His voice was steady, but his eyes glistened. The clip aired at 6 p.m., and by 8, The hashtag Justice for James was trending. Strangers donated to a fund for his treatment, raising thousands in hours. A rival hospital offered free care, their CEO, a veteran himself. Dr. Hale was suspended pending review. Whispers in the ER said he'd been warned before about his attitude, but never corrected it. The hospital's board couldn't ignore the public outcry, patients canceling appointments, sponsors pulling funding. A week later, Hale's termination was announced. No severance, no fanfare, just a quiet exit, overshadowed by the community rallying around James. Maria visited James at his new treatment center, bringing her son, who saluted him. The elderly man sent a handwritten card, signed by dozens from the waiting room that night. "You're not invisible," it read. James framed it, hanging it beside his service medals. The pain in his leg persisted, but the weight in his chest lightened. Justice wasn't loud or vengeful, it was the community's embrace, reminding him his sacrifices mattered.